Why hello there, and welcome back to another episode of Trader Steve's journey across Gilernor to collect as many rare items as he can get his grubby little mitts on. Trader Steve is starting his journey in the Grand Exchange chunk, but for every new rare item he can add to his collection that's worth more than 1 mil, he can unlock a new adjacent chunk, with Trader Steve's ultimate goal, obtaining a quest cape. Now, in the last episode, I put a lot of effort into working towards our first major quest completion, and that was Rune Mysteries. To simply complete Rune Mysteries, we had to unlock quite a few new chunks, including pushing west from Lumbridge to get all the way to the Wizard's Tower, as well as we had to unlock quite a few chunks in Varrock, just for Rune Mysteries, and that's just the start. Now, this is all for the purpose of unlocking the new runecrafting minigame, Guardians of the Rift. Now, at first glance, it might appear that we're actually really close to unlocking it, and in some ways we are, but there's one big issue. Now, something I didn't notice until recently when I was planning out this route is Guardians of the Rift has more than just one prerequisite quest. Now, I have completed Rune Mysteries, but I also have to complete the Enter the Abyss mini quest. Once again, a very simple quest, but there's one issue. To complete this mini quest, you have to access the Essence Mine from 3 separate locations around Gilernor. Normally this is really easy, but for an account that has to unlock each chunk at a time, how exactly are we going to do this? Now luckily, we actually already have access to 2 locations, that being the Varrock location with Aubrey and the Wizard's Tower location with Wizard Cedrador, but the 3rd location is a bit of an issue. Now unfortunately, the other access points are really far away. I mean, there's one in the Wizard's Guild in Yanil, there's one in the Tree Gnome Stronghold, or the Lunar Isle, so far away that's not going to happen. So I think the best option is going to be the East Ardoin location, which again isn't close, but I think it's going to be the easiest to access, and that is going to be my first goal, getting to Ardoin. Alright, so regardless of what we do next, the first step of this process is simply just to start the mini quest. Luckily in the last episode we did actually unlock the chunk that the Zamorakian wizard resides in, so we can start it right away. Assuming we don't get PJ'd by these skeletons, but, well, we did it. Now I forgot to do this in the last episode, but one thing we actually got access to last episode is the Varrock Museum, and I mean, well, we might as well go claim our free experience here, which instantly gets us to 9 Slayer and 9 Hunter. Probably not going to use those skills for a while, but we might as well claim it while we're here. Okay, so honestly, I'm just trying to think of the best way to get to Ardoin. There's quite a few different ways I can get there. Regardless though, is we're going to need some money, so while I'm thinking, we're crafting some air orbs of course. Already up to 72 magic as well, so we're gaining lots of experience as well. Okay, so that is another 2,000 air orbs I just crafted, and like another 180,000 magic experience. I mean, it's adding up really quickly. Okay, so a couple hours later, and they are sold. We're going to claim 3.1 mil from that, bringing up our cash stack to 4.3 mil. And we're going to have to spend that pretty much right away. Now, I really want to unlock Guardians of the Rift pretty much as quickly as possible. So continuing on with our strategy from last time, we're going to buy up mostly just the cheapest items we can that are on the list of items over 1 mil. And the item that fit the bill was the Stale Baguette. I mean, people definitely want this item. It's a collectible, I don't know. Okay, so it's time to unlock a new chunk, and I've thought quite a bit about it, and I've decided on this route. We're going to be making a beeline to the Remington Dock. And what's at the Remington Dock? Well, there's a boat connection that I don't think I've ever taken before, but it goes from Remington to Ardoin. There are other ways to get there, but I think this route is going to require the least amount of chunks, and will unlock some pretty important quest locations as well, so I think this is a pretty good option. So we've just unlocked the South Falador Farm chunk, and there's actually a few really nice things here. The thing I'm most excited about is our very first herb patch. Farming herbs is going to be a really nice way for me to make some passive money. We don't have farming unlocked yet, but we will eventually, and this patch is going to be one of the only ones we have access to for the foreseeable future. Also, it has a loom, something that most people don't use, but I actually have an idea for that, so it might get some use for me. Oh my god, I wasn't even paying attention to the experience, but we just hit 74 magic. Only a single level more until we can finally use the Trident of the Seas, which we're certainly going to take advantage of once we get access to Barrows or Zulrah. It's going to be a staple item for sure. So that is another 4 hours of air orb crafting done with. 2000 takes roughly 4 hours more or less. I think I'm really just going to be doing this to 75 magic because all of that experience is super helpful. Obviously I'm trying to make as much money as possible so we can unlock more chunks, but more important than that even is just actually leveling up my account. Because eventually a moneymaker that earns 500k per hour is not going to be sufficient, not even close. So gaining levels is always going to be more important. So while we were crafting that, we also purchased one of my favorite items in the game, the bucket helm G. I wish it had little eye holes in it almost. So from the South Falador farm, we have two directions we can go. We can unlock Port Sarim, or we can unlock the air altar. Seems like a pretty clear choice to me. Okay, so the Port Sarim chunk is one that is incredibly vital for the account. It is an access port to much of Gilernor. It can get us to the other continent, Zaya, Intrana, Karamja, and these places are going to be important at some point. But for our current goal, we want to get to Ardoin, and the only way to actually get close to there is with the charter ship, and unfortunately, the charter ship is actually in the chunk to the south, just out of reach, as the charter ship doesn't even bring you right to Ardoin, it brings you to Witch Haven, which is still a couple chunks away as well, so I think this is the best option. Because of our constant abuse of the Air Orb Moneymaker, we still have quite a sizable cash stack. This kind of quick progress across chunks isn't normally what I'm going to be striving for. We're going to explore them a little bit more, but to be honest, there's just not a whole lot in these chunks, at least for now, and they're just kind of more required for traveling. Okay, our fashionscape is coming together. We just bought the gilded chain body for about 1.3 mil, so the prices are starting to get more expensive. We've ran through most of the 1 mil items, now we're up to 1.3. So we just unlocked the Remington chunk. Now this chunk is actually unlocked quite a lot. To begin with, the mining skill. This is actually the first mine that I'll have access to, and that's actually quite important. Our goal is to unlock Guardians of the Rift, but to participate in it, you actually need to have some mining levels. Without it, you can't really complete the minigame, so it's actually quite important to get a mine unlocked, and this is actually quite a nice one. Now we're level 1 mining right now, and I don't expect we're going to get experience any other way besides just mining copper ore. So I think that's what we're going to get started with. We went over here with the iron pickaxe, and we're just going to mine for a little bit. Thankfully, mining is not nearly as slow as introductory fishing. So after about 25 minutes, we hit 15 mining, which means we can now move over to iron ore, which conveniently is right beside it. I actually have no idea what level I need for Guardians of the Rift. I'm not even sure if there's a hard requirement or anything, but you know, the higher mining level, the better. Well, I kind of hate mining, so we're just sticking it out here till 20. That'll have to do, I guess. Hey, here we are, guys. Just one more orb, and there is 75 magic. I think that's all the magic training I'm going to be doing for now. I might be enticed to go all the way to 78 because then we'll get the Toxic Trident, but I think that's the bulk of it done with for sure. Now, one other thing that we actually unlocked in the Remington chunk is the house portal, and I'm going to be totally honest, I did this without really thinking at all. What I did is I purchased 200 dragon bones, and I used them on the gilded altar and someone's POH. In hindsight, I might not have done this. It's not strictly against any of the rules I set out, and as far as I'm aware, I don't think I'll be able to take advantage of anything in the house besides that. As once again, as a reminder, I'm not allowed to teleport to new locations for the purpose of unlocking chunks. So I can't just go into someone's house and teleport to, I don't know, Catherby and unlock the chunk that way. But before I honestly thought about it too much, well, we had 43 prayer. Now earlier I mentioned that I was actually kind of excited about the loom, and that's because one of my favorite early game crafting training methods, to be fair, is crafting drift nets. Now to do this, all you have to do is buy jute fiber from the Grand Exchange, and you take 2 of them to a loom and turn it into a drift net. Normally you can make like a 500 to 600 GP profit while training crafting. It's a really good method. The only issue is conventionally I'd use the loom in Fossil Island, but we don't have access to that obviously, so we're going to use the one in Falador, but it's kind of far away. I don't know, I'm going to try it out for a little bit. Okay, so we didn't go too crazy with the drift nets, but I think we'll profit around 300k on it. It took me under an hour, so actually a pretty decent method. But more exciting than that, if we look at our offer slot, we have invested pretty much the rest of our money into 2 new items. I know, right? 2 at a time, crazy. We got the Robin Hood hat, which we can't wear, unfortunately. And we also bought the Varax armor set. So 2 brand spanking new chunks, sounds exciting. But let's temper the expectations here because the first area we need to unlock, unfortunately, is this one, kind of like the southern tip of Varrock. Now, unfortunately, to progress with the Enter the Abyss mini quest, we have to go meet the Mage of Zamorak, and it's just a little bit out of reach, which is unfortunate. So we're gonna need to unlock this chunk, which doesn't get us much. We do get a couple quest locations, but nothing too spectacular. Okay, so now that we've unlocked this, though, we can move on with the mini quest. So there we go, we got the magical orb, and now we got to go access the Rune Essence mine from 3 separate locations. This is the annoying part. So like I mentioned earlier, the first one's pretty easy. We already have access to it. It's right from Aubrey's magic shop. So the first one already done with. Same deal with the second location. We already actually have it. It's the Wizard's Tower. We unlocked that in the previous episode. 2 out of 3 done with, and look at that, a diary task as well. Okay, so to get to the third location, we need to access the Remington docks. Now, the Remington dock chunk, once again, doesn't offer a ton, but it does have a bush patch in it, which I don't think we're gonna ever use that. But it is also involved in quite a number of quests, including Dragon Slayer and the entire Elven storyline, so definitely gonna be needed at some point, so not a wasted chunk by any means. Okay, so there we go, our drift nets are sold off, and we sold it for 1.2 mil, bringing our cash stack once again back up to 1.4. We're gonna dump a few things in the bank as well. And with that money, we're gonna try to buy a Durock's Great Axe Zero. Not the most useful item, but it is a cheap one that we still haven't acquired yet. But not gonna lie, our collection tab is looking quite nice, just good color balance, nice distribution of item types. I'm liking it. Okay, so I decided while I was waiting for that item to come through, I would do a little bit more mining, because Guardians of the Rift does scale off your mining. We need to mine the Guardian fragments, and the higher mining level you have, the more fragments you're going to get, and it's just going to overall increase our runecrafting experience rate, so we're definitely going to do it. And we managed to stick it out here until 30 mining. During that time, though, we were able to purchase the Durock's Great Axe, something we will probably use at some point, although not the broken version. And with that item acquired, we can finally move on to the city of Ardoin. So we're hopping on the boat from Remington, and it drops us off in Ardoin, luckily just within the chunk boundary. Now this is the Ardoin West Market chunk, and it has a lot to offer, including quite a few stalls that we can steal from to train our thieving once we get around to that, and numerous quest locations, and most importantly right now, the third and final Essence Mine access point. Okay, so with that done with, we can finally go complete the mini quest. Okay, so there we go, it is done, which means we're now able to move on to Temple of the Eye. Nice benefit is we also got 9 rune crafting from that, and a small essence pouch. I'm excited though, we're so close now to Guardians of the Rift, only 1 quest left, and as far as I'm aware, I think we only need to unlock 1 more chunk for it. I hope. Okay, so a little diversion here. What are we doing? Well, while I was training my combat stats in the last episode, we got a couple giant keys. You get these from hill giants, and you get a one-off shot of killing the boss Obor. Now, he doesn't drop anything too particularly good, but there is a chance of getting the Giant's Club, which is worth about half a mil or so. So I thought we'd test out our new magic weapon, the Trident of the Seas, and just go hopefully destroy this guy. Okay, first drop is, well, another giant key, so I guess we can try this again. And the second drop again, rune plate skirt, so 70k in loot just from 2 kills, not that bad actually. Okay, so we're definitely scrounging our bank here, trying to sell off some things we don't need. So with that, we have 120k to work with, and I think that should be enough to afford enough supplies to make another 800, 900 air orbs. And then we're done. I swear I'm not going to be doing that anymore, most likely. Alright, I think that's it. We don't have to craft air orbs ever again. We did another 800, and after selling it, we're up to 1.3 mil, which we luckily still have a couple items that are cheap enough to afford. We're gonna go for the Unbroken Durox Great Axe. Not an ideal item to buy, I know, but we're one chunk away from Guardians of the Rift, and I don't care anymore. There it is, the Durox Great Axe has been obtained, allowing us to unlock the starting chunk for the Temple of the Eye quest. Now, this is the Northern Alcarid chunk, and there's actually quite a few interesting things here. Firstly, we have access now to the Fire Altar, a bit to the north, so that will certainly come in handy for runecraft training. It has a gnome glider, but most importantly for our uses right now, the starting point for the Temple of the Eye quest. And after weeks of grinding, it is finally time to start that darn quest. Oh my god, I am a little ticked off about this. For some reason, you have to go talk to the tea seller during the quest, and it's so close. It's like 5 tiles away. But man, unfortunately we got to unlock this chunk to carry on with the quest. So in a fit of rage, you know what we did. Okay, so another item on the list I didn't think I would be purchasing this early, the Steam Staff Upgrade Kit. I honestly have no idea what this item even is, but we're buying it. Okay, so this chunk isn't a complete write-off because we would have had to unlock it anyway for Biohazard, so it's not like a total wasted chunk just for that tiny little part of a quest, but it's behind us. We can talk to this damn tea seller. Alright, I forgot. You actually throw the tea on this guy. That's what you needed it for. For some reason, a bucket of water just wasn't good enough. Oh yes, I'm excited. The Temple of the Eye is one of my favorite locations in the game, and we've been working towards this for so long. We can finally start grinding out Guardians of the Rift. There's so much good stuff that this location unlocks, but there's no denying that it is definitely one of the most badass looking locations in the entire game. So there we are. We are just about to finish up Temple of the Eye. One thing that's really nice about the quest is simply completing it gives you quite a bit of runecrafting experience. So much in fact that it got us all the way to 27 runecrafting right away, which is amazing. I mean, we can now craft cosmic runes, theoretically. It just massively jumpstarts your runecrafting training, and I think they give us a small pouch as well, so that's pretty handy. So there we are, we finally have done it. Guardians of the Rift is now accessible. Now for the most part, the minigame is going to operate pretty similar to a normal account, but due to my restrictions, there are a few issues that are definitely going to come up. Now the first major one is that even though Guardians of the Rift gives access to all of the altars around Gilernor, many of them are actually locked behind quests. For example, the Cosmic Rune is locked behind a quest, the Blood Rune is locked behind a quest, the Death Rune is locked behind a quest, and the Law Rune is locked behind a quest, which means we're actually somewhat limited on what altars we have access to. And on top of that, we don't have access to the Lunar Spellbook, which means our rune pouches are pretty much useless. Sure, they hold essence, but they'll degrade instantly pretty much, and it's too inconvenient to go repair them the normal way. There are some other things that are going to come up, I'm sure, but those are the major issues we're going to have to work around. But I don't care, let's get started. Okay, first trial to overcome, just literally getting into a Guardians of the Rift game. That's kind of challenging on its own. You just have to spam click the door and hope you get in. There we go. So this is our very first game of Guardians of the Rift. All we have in our inventory is a chisel, and we have a pickaxe equipped. We don't have any rune pouches, we don't have anything else to help us along the way. This is really all we have access to. Now we're going to do our best, but our mining level once again is also kind of low, so I'm not really sure how easy this is going to be to get a reasonable amount of points, but hopefully our mining level will get leveled up passively over time anyway, so things should get quicker over time. Okay, not looking good. We're able to mine only around 40 Guardian Essence before the time pretty much ran out, so we have to go craft these quickly before the actual round starts, so it looks like we're going to be doing a lot of mining. So we start by mining the fragments. We're going to turn that into a full inventory of essence. Then we're going to go through, I guess, the Earth Altar. I mean, we don't have access to almost any of the higher tier altars. The only one we will get access to is luckily the nature altar. We'll get that just passively once we get our runecrafting level higher. But for now, I think we only have access to 6 of the altars, the 4 elemental ones, the mind altar, and the body altar. Unfortunately, those runes are worthless. None of them are going to really get us any money, but they will provide plenty of experience. That's really what we're looking for anyway. Now, luckily, even though my mining level is very low, luckily these portals will open up now and again, which I can go through, and then we can immediately mine Guardian Essence, which really does help offset my terrible mining level. So we're definitely always going to be taking advantage of these when we can. Now, the only other strategy that I think is definitely worth mentioning is I'm definitely going to be prioritizing catalytic altars when they come up, with catalytic being any of the non-elemental altars, so like the nature altar, the mind altar, the body altar, stuff like that. And the reason I'm going to be prioritizing them is because I don't have access to many of them, and it's actually going to be very common that I don't have access to a catalytic altar I can go through. So when I do see one, we're definitely going to try to prioritize that. So for example, here we had the body altar that was available. Not ideal, but we're going to do it because it provides catalytic contribution, and we're going to need as much of that as possible. Now at the top you can see we're slowly earning elemental and catalytic energy. And in the end, we're going to get reward points based on how much of each one we have obtained. You want to try to keep these roughly in balance because when you're claiming your rewards, you need one of each to claim a reward. So if you've hedged way too far into one of them, then you can't really claim much at all. Okay, so we're just about to finish up our first match of Guardians of the Rift. We ended up with 300 elemental energy and 100 catalytic. Despite my best effort, we ended up in a 3-to-1 ratio, so we're really gonna have to keep on that, trying to keep them balanced. But from our very first game, we ended up getting 1300 runecrafting experience and got us all the way to 30 runecrafting right off the bat. Now ultimately, the main reason that we are here, besides simply just runecraft training, is to obtain the runecrafting skilling outfit, the Raiments of the Eye. This is probably the most powerful skilling outfit in the entire game, and we're now able to obtain it, but it's going to be quite a grind to get it. Now from that match that took about 10 minutes, we essentially got 2 rolls at the Reward Guardian. The Reward Guardian gives a bunch of different things, including straight up just runes that we can sell in the Grand Exchange to get some money, but you'll also roll for Abyssal Pearls, and these are used as a currency at the Temple of the Eye shop. This is where you can go ahead and buy the outfit. The entire thing costs around 1500 Abyssal Pearls, and that is what we're going to be grinding for. I don't think we're honestly going to leave here until we have obtained the entire outfit, and we'll definitely also gain a ton of runecrafting levels along the way. Okay, so we haven't been here too long, but we just hit 35 runecrafting. Actually a pretty useful level because we now have access to the Chaos Altar. Totally forgot about that one. But luckily that altar has no quest requirement. We can now start using that in the minigame and outside if we wanted. So that's our first altar unlock, pretty exciting. Okay, we haven't stacked up too many points yet, but we're just gonna go ahead and claim some. We have 7 rolls from the Reward Guardian. Straight off the bat, we got 19 Abyssal Pearls, that's great. So to afford the first piece of the outfit, we need 250 pearls, and so far we have, we got 19. But 46k in loot as well, not bad. We're gonna stack up all the runes we get from this grind, and we'll sell them all at the end and see how much we actually make from this. So with this game ending, we're about to get a pretty important level here. That is gonna be 44 rune crafting, which means we can now craft nature runes. The first rune that is actually worth something. Nature runes are worth like 175 each right now, which is exciting. We can really start getting actually some money from the minigame while we're playing it, and not just from the Reward Guardian. That said, we will go claim our rewards. And hey, we got 45 Abyssal Pearls, that's pretty good. Okay, so now that we have the Nature Altar unlocked, we are heavily prioritizing that as soon as we see it. Not only does it provide catalytic energy, but every time we go through, we're gonna get 5k in nature runes, which is pretty awesome. There is 50 rune crafting. The levels are going pretty quickly. We now have access to the large pouch, which is pretty nice. That holds a lot more rune essence, and we'll definitely take advantage of that once we get outside of the minigame. Like I mentioned, not super useful here, but I've already gotten 50 rune crafting levels and I've been having a great time. So I've finally been able to stack up a couple reward points. I've been so excited just opening them pretty much right away. We have another like 15-ish to open here. Really, we're just looking for Abyssal Pearls. Anything else is just bonus. We actually ended up with 61 from this lot. Pretty nice, and 90k worth of runes, so you know, it's all adding up. Alright, so I thought I would take a quick break from Guardians of the Rift to go ahead and get my mining level up a bit. I'm not sure how much the different pickaxes make a difference, but we're only 5 levels away from 41 mining, at which point we can just switch over to the rune pickaxe. I think it'll make a pretty big difference once we do it, so I just thought I would go ahead and power mine some iron ore for a bit, so we can just quickly get the rune pickaxe. Oh god, I hate mining so much, but we've done it. That is 41 mining. Enough to wield the rune pickaxe, and that's all we're going to need for now. We'll just go ahead and buy one. We are really broke right now. We only have 60k to our name, but that's enough for a rune pickaxe, and that is all we need. So that was definitely a good idea. It has made such a big difference so far. Previously, I was getting about 50 guardian fragments by the time the starting phase ran out. Now it looks like we managed to get 75, so like a 30% increase, definitely worth it. And this should have a knock-on effect of actually increasing our rune crafting experience rate as well, so they kind of go hand in hand. There we go guys, that is 55 rune crafting already. Not gonna lie, the levels are kind of flying by. Now for those interested, I'm getting roughly around 25 to 30k per hour rune crafting experience, which is not terrible for the level, but it is still quite a bit lower than you would expect, mainly because we're not using rune pouches. We don't have access to some of the better altars, so all that is definitely tanking our experience rate a bit, but there's not really much we can do about that. So that is our 40th Rift close. We've done 40 rounds already. Now we're actually getting pretty close to our first piece of the skilling outfit. If we get a bit lucky here, we should be able to get it. Oh my god, we just got 88 in like 3 rolls, holy. Okay, so that is really exciting. That has brought us up to over 300 abyssal pearls. Now we're gonna go for the cheapest one first because it makes the most sense. Each piece is the same, it provides an extra 10% runes wherever you craft them in the entire game. It's so good. And if you have all 4 pieces, you get an additional 20% bonus. So altogether, once we have the entire set, we're gonna get 60% more profit from our rune crafting, which is going to be super useful here, but more importantly, anywhere else we craft runes, whether it be using the Abyss network or doing it directly at the altars. We are now 1/4 of the way to the most powerful rune crafting outfit in Gilernor. So I thought I would finish off the episode by perusing our item collection so far. So in today's episode, we acquired quite a few new items and really started to fill out the bottom of the list. We've now gone through many of the cheapest items, so pretty soon things are going to start becoming much more costly, so hopefully we can unlock a good moneymaker by then. Thanks for watching guys as always, hope you enjoyed the episode, and I will see you in the next one. Now before I go here, I want to give a giant thank you to all of my members over on YouTube. Thank you so much to Alejandra, Mitch Reinders, The Hybrid, and Kush Patel for all being subscribed at the Dragon tier. You guys are awesome. I do really appreciate it. Also thank you to Kapersky, YoYoSub89, and NDM0001 for being subscribed at the Runite tier. Thanks everyone again, and I'll see you next time.